Hi, Carol here. Welcome to my craft room. A very warm, hello, very warm welcome. I appreciate everybody stopping by. It has been an extremely busy 6 weeks. I appreciate you joining me today with the Americana 3092 set from LDRS Creative. This is my design team project, long awaited. I've wanted to have this up. And I wanted to do this certain thing. You know how you have something just stuck in your head that you want to do? And this particular set was it. I couldn't wait to get this started. Now, this is a Chevy, and I'll tell you why it's a Chevy vintage truck, is because I drive a Ford. And this little Chevy truck, I'm going to make the little bike here, I'm going to turn it into a Harley because everybody knows I have a Harley. Yeah, a Softail Deluxe 1440 pearl white and black, and chromed all out, and I'm going to chrome this out as well. So I'm stamping a lot of images, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This Chevy gets stuck in mud, which is gold mud, but you'll see that later on. I decided to actually stamp them darker, using a platform that you could just stamp. So I had a real crisp image. I just couldn't double stamp it and get, right on with the acrylic block. So I decided to pull out one of my positioners, and wait till you see this particular set, the Americana set, with the American flag, the vintage. It just has so many vintage little items. I love the back gate, actually the wooden gate for the side of my little Chevy. And what came to my mind was, what's so funny is, all I could think of was getting a Harley and pulling out a Chevy out of mud. And I knew the sentiment was going to read Harley Rescue. I was rescuing this vintage Chevy out of some gold nugget mud, because I have to have gold in my tutorials. And hello, here we go, come on, let's get at her. And I want to just show you, the American flag is there, and I needed one going in one direction, one flag going in the other, so I need to do some reverse stamping. So there's your good old American flag. I love your flag. I'm Canadian, but I love the flag, the United States flag. So I have a piece of plastic. You can use anything you want that you can, acrylic paper, whatever. But this is an acrylic, really thick piece of square block. I put it in the stamp positioner. I stamped it just like you were going to stamp it. And then I turn the acrylic square over and press down. And presto, there you have it, your reverse flag. And then when it dries, I'm simply going to color it in with some markers. So you can do this over and over again. Now excuse me, don't get itchy right here by my Harley. I decided to put a mirror. I'm going to make some flames right there. And there you have it. For time's sake, it's almost 2-hour tutorial, my friends. I had already completed this, and not because I didn't want you to see the Harley. I'm just showing you what I did quickly because I forgot to put it in the edit, so I lost it actually on the film. I do that all the time. I think it was over 40 hours of work, and here I just took out my new Staedtler 0.3 markers. I will show you that. I got them at my stationery store, and it's 36.03, beautiful colored. Some are fluorescent. I will show you because I did a little haul. I just didn't want to use it up on my LDRS Creative project to show you the few things that I did get. But look at the fine tip on this. For Zen tangling, these markers would be fabulous for sure. Then it has the little piece of the star stamp for the upper portion. Now this one is facing in the, you'll see why I needed one facing one way and one facing the other later on in the tutorial. But it was fantastic. All you need to do is have something. See the different colors? That's what I wanted to show you. I use the hybrid inks, LDRS Creative Hybrid inks, because it gives you time. There they are. Look at that, 36.03 fine line markers. And then I will go color it in. I just wanted to show you the different reds. You know, there's kind of like this apple red to the right, and then this royal red. Then I took the truck and I wanted it to be the blues. You can see that I put the blue hues in there, but because I added a bit of purple to it, honestly, it just came out more purple than it did blue for some reason, but it worked. I worked it into the card. I didn't have any problem with that. And yesterday I actually stopped at a big box store. I had to get some more of my style, you know, my markers here, my broad tip. I only had one left, my Signo white gel, or no, they're not gel pens, but my Signo white pens. So I had to pick up a couple of things. Of course, with that, I had a doctor's appointment out of town, so there was a nice big box store there, so I stopped in. Then I added some glossy accents over top to give my truck some stability. Now, here's what, when I needed apples, okay? I needed apples to go in the truck. Now, all of this design was in my head. I couldn't get it out. All I could think of is that my Harley was pulling it out a truck, a Chevy. Yes, it can't be my Ford truck. It doesn't get stuck. So I needed to have some tiny apples. I didn't want to draw them because I wanted at least 75 of them. So I just took 3 different shades of Copic markers, and I took that punch. You can see the hole punch there to the left. And that's how I got all my little apples to go in the bed of the truck. I'm doing a spit shine here. That's how I check my glossy accents. I put my finger and I lick it. And then and that way, if it's not, you know, it's not going to stick. It's kind of got wet on wet, if you know what I mean. So I did the same thing. I took 3 different greens and I just went back and forth on my 140-pound cardstock, light to dark. And that wonderful hole punch is the perfect size. See it up there? For tiny little apples. I wanted to do 2 apple trees, and I wanted to have the apples falling out of the back of the bed of the Chevy truck when it got stuck. And look at that. Just go, 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 go. Punch them all out. Fabulous. Look at, so I have green apples, and they all stay inside this punch. You know, I figured that out too. I'm going, how come they're not dropping down? They're all inside there. So here I have my Harley. I have the flags. I think I did 2 Harleys like this and chromed it out with silver embossing powder. I had so much fun. And then I did the orange and red as the flames on the tank. I don't have that on mine, but I thought it'd be nice. Then I took some brushes and a cloud stencil, and I made some clouds. And I'm not going to bore you to death with making them. I just took a light, medium, and dark blue, as you can see, with these dollar store, you know, my dollar store and nothing's a dollar. I bought these brushes and they work wonderfully. You don't have to spend a lot of money sometimes to get a quality product that works just as well as the expensive products. So I needed this for the background. And I am serious. Every day, the thought of this card was just coming to the fore. Excuse me, don't be on my clouds. There is a lot of going on in this card. A lot of continued development in it. And another, this was 2 dies. The houses in the background, and then the street die that makes the tiny little road. Let me just see here, you know, the dots on the road. So this set is an LDRS Creative. It's with the bundle, the Americana set up there with the stamps, and this was the houses die. I'll leave all the information. So I got out my Gemini large machine because I wanted it to run across in one full swipe. It didn't end up happening for some reason, because I think I did it one way, the die, and then I turned it over and did it another way. So I ended up using, I had to slice it down the middle. There is a slice in it, but I knew I was having trees, so it didn't bother me. And there's my clouds. Just pick some different blue hues and a little bit of yellow green in your clouds, and you are going to be fine. There you go. I'm just going to cut around it here to get it off. And it's so sweet. It's just a sweet, sweet dye. I wanted it, because the truck is kind of bluish purple, I grabbed some cardstock in my stash, some purple, and yeah, that's going to just shadow the white cardstock. Just a little ghosting behind it. And yeah, just keep cutting. It's so cute. If you want something that has houses in the background, this is adorable. And you know, I can't say enough, because the LDRS Creative Dyes are Teflon coated. And here you have it. Oh, you know, as I'm doing this, my friends, it was like a thought process. I did it, I didn't have anything directing me as far as seeing another tutorial. I just went with the thought that I had in my mind, and that's why we call it creating. I was just creating as, you know, as I went along, cutting here, cutting there, die cutting there, die cutting here. You know what we do, and then put it all through. And once I got the houses cut out in white, and then in purple, and then in black, I start to design. I have my little apples, green and red. Wait till you see I actually die cut some things to get a teensy weensy little stem for my apple and 2 teensy weensy leaves. Oh yeah, you have to go all out when you're doing it. There it is. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands there, but bear with me. That's what I do. I can't remember after I do it. I do remember at the time. And you know, I'm working on you know, my whole island is full. It's just chock full. And then I have this little section that I create with, yes, take some Coca-Cola, Carol. And thank you everybody for my warm well wishes for my birthday. That was on Sunday, the 19th of May. I turned 65. I had a wonderful day with my family. It was really nice. We went out for dinner after church, and it was really, really a lovely day. Nothing better on your birthday than to spend it with family, right? So here I had this die that when I cut it into the brown cardstock, it looked like little wee, the little nubs, you know, at the top of your apple, the little core. It looked identical, so I just separated 75 of them. Oh yeah, we're just going to stamp and separate here. Plus, it's a really nice stamp, you know. I forget about my stamp, my stamps that I have, or my punches. Excuse me, stamps, they're punches. And then I found this little butterfly, which when it was punched out, it had the perfect little leaves. Oh yeah, clouds. That's what we're working with, right? So I separated all of that. I'm going to get a nice close-up of how I did it. I took my little pokey tool because it didn't matter. I had to work with it. Sometimes I use the pokey tool. The other time I use that sticky stick. And you want glue that dries clear on here. And look at the little leaves. The leaves came out from the punch that was a butterfly. And I just walked around and took my punches out and looked, you know, turned them over and looked. Okay, does anything look like a stem? And does anything look like it could be a tiny, eensy, teensy, weensy little leaf? And sure enough, you couldn't get any sweeter. And now I have my, and the paper, when you take your Copics and you just go across your paper, you get all the different shades you want because you're creating it. It's not flat, you know, green paper. It's what you created with your markers. So that's really nice. You can get it dark to light. And I had this little piece of plastic. It's from one of my makeup things. And it was just perfect to put glue on. So I'm sure I'll spill that or it'll slide on the floor somewhere in time. I don't know if I put, yeah, excuse Don't lick up my apples. I need all the apples there. There's 75 each, I think. Oh yeah, here we go. Look at them. Aren't they cutesy wootsy? Love it. So I set those aside because that is going to be one of the images, obviously. The apples are falling from the tree, and the truck was picking up the apples in the back of the Chevy and taking them somewhere, but the truck got stuck in some gravel. It's not mud, it was gravel. Excuse me, it's gold gravel. I actually have 2 containers of gravel in gold that I got at a box store, so it worked out perfectly. Now, there was a few obstacles that I did have here, and they weren't obstacles in the sense of the stamps or dies. It was in the creating part. I knew I wanted to have a few black houses. I just cut them out separately and added them to the white and purple. But because it's going to be a pull tab, I'm just I'm just counting the squares so I could see, the measurements there on what I was going to need for some reason. I remember doing that. And I did, look at that, with the purple behind the houses and the purpley blue vintage Chevy. I just love it. And then I ended up putting some black around the tires in black embossing powder. All came together. And here I decided, instead of making 3 where I had 3 actual cuts, I cut down the clouds to make it 2, which was just fine. But as you will notice, when I cut across to make the street, I'm just wondering, I didn't use that because the clouds look too pretty. This is the Sweet Village Border die, 8033. If you're looking it up, but that'll be on my blog. Then I'm going to tape it down because it's going to be a slider card, like I said, but it's going to be thick. Not only a slider card there, but look at, you're going to have to come up with a plan, I did, on how you have that slider card go up, down, up and down. It has, actually it's down, down and up and down. And pull that truck out of the gravel with a chain, which was a necklace that I used for the chain to pull at the back of the Harley to pull my Chevy truck out of the gravel. Oh yes. So I'm thinking, all right, because it's a road, I'm going to put this black behind it. And I'm going to have plastic wrap, right? Like just some kind of plastic, a lunch baggie or anything that is like a baggie. Right there, I just went and found it. I think this is for putting cards in, actually, or I bought it for putting supplies in. I can't remember. I just cut it off. Then I grabbed another punch so that I had, you don't have to use a punch. You can actually cut it with your cutting knife on the black. You just want this plastic to go around like a belt, like a snow machine belt. And back in the day, I think I was about 17 or 18. I used to race for Arctic Cat snowmobiles. And love racing. It's probably why I love my Harley so much. But I just thought of that. It's like a snow machine belt, and that plastic has to go around and around and around and around. Actually, it just has to go back and forth. Not around and around, but you know what I mean. That Harley has to pull the truck. Now, because it's pulling it up and then going down, you have to have something that is going to hold and not rip when when you're gluing it to the plastic, to that, I'll call it lunch baggie. And I'm going to show you how I did that. So I took this punch and I'm going to tape the plastic and make sure you don't touch the ends. You just want it so that it will slide. It's like the slider mechanism right there for the Harley and the Chevy. So what I did here is I'm just marking where I have to have, so this is not crooked. It's not going to matter if it's out a little bit. You just want to cut your plastic down and then use very little tape because it's going to go through those holes, right? So I think I use the orange tape on this because it's nice and sticky, the orange sticky tape. And let's see how I did this here. It wasn't long enough to make it in one swoop, as you can see, but you know what I found out as I was working with it? You can pull on that plastic and make it, you know, if you just need a little tad bit to make it to the other side, just pull on the plastic. It works wonderfully. So here we go. I have a piece at one end and a piece at the other, and I'm just holding the plastic down with my punch there. Then I take it off and then I add it to here. You don't want it to be really pulling on it. You want a little bit of give, but just a little bit. And then cut it off, and there you have it. It is like a snowmobile belt. That's what I see when I look at this. It just has to go around and around and around, and the tape has to go without, you know, getting stuck at the hole part. So you don't want to put too much on there because, yeah, I don't know why, I just didn't have a piece of plastic that was right close to me. I'm sure I could have found something that would have worked without having to do, you know, tape it down twice. But there you go. I am just making the road. Now, I have to lift this up, obviously, to get the mechanism on the bottom. And I had these little round, they're actually plastic, like a hard plastic. You get them in a kit for actually doing interactive cards like this, slider cards. Now you can see I'm just making sure that it flows nicely from one end to the other. I need to lift it up, so I put some double-sided rolled tape and my real thin tape on there. And yeah, so get it everywhere but touching the actual baggie. Okay, now I made it too high, and that was a challenge, to have it too high up, you know, one too high up. And here I have to make sure when I have the road, whatever I'm going to stick underneath this, it's going to have to stick on the actual plastic. And I'll show you what I mean. So coins aren't going to work because you're going to have to put 3 coins high. That's what it ended up being. And the weight of it drags the plastic. So the coin thing didn't work for me. I tried it. I even tried to get my dime, you know, using dimes because they're smaller and they're thin, but it didn't work because of the weight. And then I tried these little, I'll call them little nuggets. They're plastic, a hard plastic, and this would be good if you didn't raise it up. Because of the height, it gets stuck down in, and you have to stick this to your actual image. And in my case, it's a Harley and a Chevy. So it was hitting. It was not high enough. And then if I put one on top of the other, when you pull it, I was risking the fact that it would slide, the one round circle would slide off the other one. And you'll see what I mean in just a minute. It needs to be in the gravel right there, the truck, but the Harley has to be pulling that chain. So you don't want to have like coins or these round little things, you know, 2 or 3 high. It doesn't work. Believe you me, I tried it. And here I'm putting some glue on there. I don't know why it's colored like that. I must have, oh, you know, I probably put a rusty pin down in there. And here's my gravel that I had in it's gold gravel. Can you believe it? And I just made it work over top of that glue. And oh yeah, it was gravel. Right there it is there in the container. I'll leave everything, you know, the links for stuff if I can find where else you can get it. And here I needed the truck to bend. Now, the other thing that I wanted to do was when I pulled the mechanism, I wanted my truck to stand forward, and I wanted my Harley to stand forward like it was riding on its actual wheels. I did not want it flat. So I had to come up with something that would actually work to make those two images, like the bike and the Harley, when it was pulled, it would automatically stand right up on the road and look like it was actually going down the road you know, in 3D form. So now I wanted to just quickly get a piece of nice thick black cardstock to put underneath my actual card base. So the clouds with the white cardstock, then I'll have just a little bit of the black showing, which I think looks very nice. And then we're going to go back and work on the actual mechanism. So the ATG came out because I love the gold brand of the tape. It sticks very well. And I'm going to put that down, make sure it's nice and even all the way around. And yeah, straighten it up with your scissor. It's not going to hurt it because I did a little bit of distressing around the edges. And then I'm going to need some acetate. And you know I use page protectors for my acetate. So I'm going to have to put that behind, right on top of my sandwich bag. So I put some orange tape down and then my plastic acetate. Actually, it is the page protector thick acetate. And then I'm going to slide that through the hole. And this is going to be my pull mechanism, but not with just the acetate. It is not strong enough to pull that truck. To pull a truck, I can't even pull a truck. The truck or the Harley, I'm going to need to put on top of it, on the outside, some black cardstock. Now, I sized it down. Here you're going to have to make sure you know how much you want sticking out as your pull tab. So that's what I'm working with there. Before I cut it off, I want to make sure that it doesn't stick, especially on the sandwich bag. That's what I'm going to call it. On that sandwich bag plastic, it's going to be able to go through the hole at the same time. Now, I'm going to need to cut a piece of cardstock as well. So what I'll do is I'll finish up with putting double-sided tape all the way around, and it's going to actually lift it up off of the card base. I'm sorry that these emails are coming through. I just want to keep going here. I have been trying to get this voiceover done all day for you. And just, you know, little things have happened. But here we go. So I put the double-sided tape wherever. Then I'm going to put some baby powder down on whatever little space I have that I'm working on. You know, I generally work on something that's about 6 by 8 by the time all my stuff gets spread to the corners. But I don't want the sandwich bag or actually the plastic to hit the sides of the double-sided tape because it is sticky and I don't want any sticky on the sandwich bag, you know, getting stuck there. So I'll take this one, I think it's only one high actually, it could be two. We'll see what I'm doing here. I'm just going to cut down some of the Scotch roll to put on there, and there you have it. Now I need to cut down to, this thick black cardstock is going to go over top of the acetate, okay? Now you're going to put, oh yeah, this is another thing. Oh, I'm so excited. I saw somebody on a video use an acrylic block that was, excuse me, you know when it's sticky, my dog goes across it every time. But they used their acrylic block that had, you know, didn't have round edges. It just had square, really sharp edges on that acrylic block. And that's what I rip off my tape with. No more doing it with my fingernail or having to get scissors. Just use that acrylic block. I'm going to try, I can't even remember what I was watching and she used that. It was on an album, I think. She was using a lot of double-sided tape. But here we go. I am just measuring off what I'm going to need because it's going to say Harley, let me see, Harley Rescue. That's what it says, Harley Rescue. So you can see there's nothing right now holding it down onto my sandwich bag. Okay, there's nothing on that piece there. This is one piece underneath. See the one piece underneath, and then I'll stick this down over top. And then you're going to have, there we go. I turned it over. This is the opposite side where it's going to be raised up. I'm going to cut it off where I need it. You know, you just want to make sure it's going to slide through. And what's really nice about this, you have that stability. You have 2 cardstock, one on each side of that acetate to really ram that thing. And sorry I'm using that term, to ram it. Maybe it's a Dodge Ram. Maybe it's not a Chevy. Maybe it's a Dodge Ram. Oh dear. Whatever it is, it's a nice vintage truck and I really like it, but I'm pulling it out of the gravel there. So now I am going to make sure that I cut this down so it's not going to hit any sides of that double-sided tape. And look at that. Now, you can't put it down. You have to have the cardstock and then your acetate and then your cardstock, right? You can't, and it doesn't stick on your sandwich bag, so that it doesn't stick on your sandwich bag, but it gives you that stability of pulling it in and out, in and out, in and out. So now I'm going to remove all of my tape. Let's see what I do there. You have to have it high because of the runner, right? You don't want this hitting anything. And you just have, I'd say, 1/4 of an inch on the end of your acetate and your black paper attached to the sandwich bag. So it's just maybe 1/4 of an inch with double-sided tape underneath there to hold it going back and forth, right? You can't, that's what's going to, you know, it's got to take that pull and it has to remain on the sandwich bag at the same time. So use some, that's why the orange tape came in real handy. So use a good tape to tape this down. So the runner piece there that's going in and out, it's black cardstock thick, acetate thick, and then another piece of cardstock over top of that, nice and secure. And look at that. It just, this is the bottom portion. And I put glue over top as well. I want this to not move. You're pulling that construction. You don't want it to move. So not only does it have double-sided tape on both sides, runner, you know, to lift it up, I put a little bit of glue too. I think I do it on here as well. I know I did it underneath because of the pull. And now I'm going to add more. So I guess this side, they're both 2 sides high. So this is going to be, you know, 2 high. Underneath is 2 high. And yeah, it just gave the right consistency for having what I invented. This is my little 120-pound white cardstock invention when we get done here. Then I needed some more, I wanted to cover all of that black cardstock so that the actual houses and the road would be lifted up and it wouldn't have any bonkers, you know, going, any indents on it. So that's what I did there. I just add some glue dots. I had to lift it up here, but I'm going to tell you something really funny happened at the end of this video. If it's too long for you to watch all the way through, I understand, but you just go to the end. It's quite funny what happened, actually. It wasn't funny at the time. You know, boo-boos aren't that funny at the time, but yeah, I'll show you what happened. So here we go. You've got the road. Now I had to come up with a mechanism that would work as far as pulling the truck and the Harley and would bend to stand it up so it looked like it was 3D. So yeah, I did it. Look at it. It looks like an actual road. So here's what I had to do. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get my thick 40-pound vellum, and I am going to need a piece to run all the way across because I found the sky just a bit too bright. I wanted to mask that real bright sky with the vellum. And also, I want to have a fold on it so that when you look down, you don't see all of that tape runner. Oh yeah. See, I did add my gold. I've got that gold gravel. So because I want to cover the actual double-sided tape, when you look down, it didn't look nice seeing all that, you know, different tape. So, yeah, and then I'm going to clean my scoreboard. All of the sticky gets in there. Look at that. It's the perfect thing. Just get your pokey tool and clean out all that stickiness. I don't know why I left that in there. But I ended up measuring the height of the actual mechanism. Then I'm going to score this. I ended up having to do it a couple of times, like on this, cutting it down. And yeah, then I'm going to get it out of my nails because all that sticky goopy goop got into my nails. Yuck. Sorry I left that in there. And then this is real, folks. Now we're going to score it so that when it folds, it's going to also hide the double-sided tape. And you'll see what I mean. I know it sounds like, what? What is she doing? I'm toning down the sky. At the same time, I'm covering the double-sided tape inside. So when you look down, you don't see it as vividly as you would. And yeah, and you had to just take the chance of measuring it just on the side of your card. And we're going to do that. I must have had to cut it down again and then score it again so that the houses weren't too far above the actual card at the top. See that? Because it has that nice curvature. I wanted the houses to match the curvature in the white cardstock, the white and purple, as well as on the acetate. No, vellum. Remember when I used to get that so confused? Everything that was acetate, I said vellum, and everything that was vellum, I said acetate. Oof. So here I cut it off. See that nice fold? It's going to slide right down inside, cover the double-sided tape nicely, and then it's going to give me that foggy look of the sky. I was so pleased, I can't even tell you. Yeah, and then I'm going to score it again, get it down there. You just have to work with it. I had to take a little bit off, but that was okay, and slide it down, and yeah, it's kind of like this misty look with the clouds in the background. I think it looks much better than having that bright, bright blue. See? It kind of looks like dusk instead of early morning. I like either look, but I needed to hide that double-sided tape that's down in there holding up my road. So this is the way I had it work. See down in there? I can put my finger down. That's how high it was. There it is. You can't even see the double-sided tape down in there. You know, I'm going to take a picture of that just to show you how it did hide it, and I'll add it to the tutorial because I haven't got this up yet. I'm just doing the voiceover. And here I'm trying to say, okay, can I put these discs in here and have those discs roll on the truck? See how I have to lift it out there? And it has to be touching the baggie, the sandwich bag. So whatever I put down in there, and I put the that I set the truck and the Harley on, had to roll back and forth. This didn't work, and I'll tell you why. Number one, you can't put it flat because it's going up a hill and down. And how I know that is it broke about 20 times. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't give me the look that I wanted. And I thought, okay, I'll put a dot. You know, this is one of my double-sided dots there. And I'm going to put it on top of this plastic disc. This plastic disc. I'm going to put it right on top. You can see now it's sticking to the sandwich bag, and that's not good. So that didn't work. I tried both of them. I tried the double-sided tape with the plastic on one side, leaving the plastic on. Did not work. But I'm going to tell you, just having the patience and fortitude to be able to find something that works. You just have to, you know, it's like, yeah, hit and miss on this. And because I wanted that truck and Harley to stand upwards toward me, I had to think of how was I going to do that. And it had to go on a curvature. This truck, when it was pulled with the chain, had to not go just straight. It had to go up, down, up, and stay in one piece. So here I tried the discs. Did not work. It did not work. It didn't. And so I had to take it all apart, yeah, without destroying it. So those little discs, you know, they're good for if you want something to go straight across, but it is not going to work on something with a curve. So my gravel's dry. You can see I got a little bit of goopy goop up there, but it's not going to matter because I can cover it with my apples and my trees. Oh yes, and there's my 2 flags. The reason why I wanted one flag going in the opposite direction, I was going to put it on a pole on the back of my Harley, but it was too big, so I had to come up with a different plan, and I liked plan B better than the first plan behind the Harley. It was just too big. So yeah, I set that off aside, but it did work that way. Now, I thought of, see, these are little gems that I had, sticky underneath and glittery round gems. So I thought if I used that and then a dime with double-sided glue dot on it, with a dime being on the top, would pull that truck and Harley. Then I thought, nope, that didn't work. Maybe I'll put this plastic disc on top of that gem, the colored gem. It did not work. Did not work. It was getting jammed up. It was destroying the sandwich bag. Not good. So I had to take that off, get that gem out of there because the little glittery stuff were hitting it was hitting the paper. So slowly, oh yes, you don't want that sandwich bag being wrecked. So I had to take it off, and that was, plan 62, and that didn't work. So I just said, get that off, put it aside, and I just came back to it, I just kept thinking for actually a couple of days. I was thinking on this, okay, what am I going to do here? And then I found this plan. I just loved it. It just came to me here. The thought came to me in my own brain. And here it was, my 120-pound cardstock. It doesn't have to be 120 pound. It just has to be able to take the bend. Now here's what I was thinking here. If I put a piece on the sandwich bag, see how I'm measuring the road there? And then I bend it in the middle, it is going to bend on the curve. And I'll show you what I mean. I had to make it thinner. I started thick. I started with the thickness of the actual mechanism to put the truck on here. I'll just say the truck for now. Then I cut it down. Now you can see, you score it and then you score it again. You're going to have to put it in there with double-sided tape. Score it again, and look at that. It just hung on to that truck like it was made for that. So I put 2 scores where I needed to put them. I put the double-sided tape down first on the upper little mechanism. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm just putting it with paper, cutting it down. You can just cut it with scissors, which I did. Here I'm scoring it. I'm using this to score the score marks. Then it's Mountain Valley. So you have that little piece in the center. See it there? I should slow that down just a minute. There you have it. I just went back and I spliced that little piece of the video so that you could see it in slow motion how it is bent. See that right there? So you want to score it and then score it. You're going to have that bump in there, and that, yes, you want to have it however high. I don't know why I put 4. I think it's because it's cut, scored and scored, folded, and then cut at the end. I don't know why I said 4 there. Sorry. I just wanted you to see how it was formed. Then look at how I used that acrylic block like that. I never ever saw this anywhere. Can't believe it. Yeah, that you could just have a nice squared off piece of acrylic block and cut your double-sided tape off so quickly and perfectly. So I'm making sure that the double-sided tape is on every piece of this paper that's going to be on the sandwich bag. Now watch, I'll slide it on the sandwich bag there. Then I'm going to make sure that when I put the top portion on the bag, right, it is going to sit up. You may have to make it taller, which I did. I'm going to take this off. See how I'm ripping it off carefully? It needed to be up taller. And see how it stands up? When you move that along, that is going to fold, causing your truck and your Harley to move forward and have that 3D, almost like it's driving on that road in, you know, just like you're looking at it outside in true 3D fashion. It's just beautiful how that worked, how this paper, and it was trial and error, and it has to go through that cut, has to come down, and it has to go on the other side. Woo, I'm excited. It's working, it's working. Yeah, so let's do it again. I think I made maybe 4 of them. I put the hot glue on there. Don't try to use glue on this. And just the front of the truck, just the front of the truck on the mechanism, because it has to lean down into the gravel, right? Now I need to put the chain. So I just grabbed another little piece of paper, glue gunned the chain onto the paper, and then put paper on top of the chain and put it behind the truck. So it looked nice and clean when you saw it from the side. And this is just from a necklace that I had, and I cut it down because you have to have some chain to pull that truck, right? Then I made a piece to fit the top of the Harley. It's going to be on the back wheel when I do this. So the same thing, double-sided tape on the ends. Just make sure that you have that fold high enough. You may have to do 2 or 3 of them to get the right height for your image to sit on. You know, but it's worth the time and that it takes to experiment with it. I think you're really going to like the look when we get done with this. Then I'm going, there it goes. See how it goes? I just loved it. I was so happy that when I pulled it, it came forward. And not only that, it went up the hill and down the hill. And it was just like, I don't know, it was like it was made for this card. So I need to put some hot glue on the top of the chain so it stays there. And then the back wheel to my Harley. And that's all you need on there. Then I cut the link off with my cutters and made sure that this pulled in and out and came forward when it got to the end. And you're going to see that in better form as we get going. But see how it just follows that, you know, it just follows the road perfectly and stays in proper form. The Harley is straight and the truck is crooked so that it goes down into the gravel. So I had to make another one. I had to make it more narrow. I wanted to show you that. I had to start over. It was too thick and I had to make it a little higher so that it would come up and go over the hill. But that's okay. As you do this, see, it has to sit there and go down underneath, keeping it so that it's on the sandwich bag. Right there. It's high enough to not interfere with the pulling of it. And yeah, and then I just press down to make sure it's firmly stuck onto my sandwich bag. Then I'll move it without putting the Harley back on. I'll just move it and see that it does, you know, it's the right measurement for height. Then I'll put the chain back on. And make sure when you put the bike there, the chain doesn't go all the way to the white. Work the wheel, right? Your back wheel. Put it on your back wheel and then put your Harley down. Put a little piece of tape, a little piece of cardstock over top so it doesn't, you know, be a little bother with the pulling of it. Put some hot glue once again, and wherever that has to seat, which will be the middle, which is perfect. You know, you have that, I'm telling you, when you see that, see how it's coming up? Oh yes. I was so excited I had to look at that. I couldn't believe it. The paper bends it forward, so it's riding like right on the road. Oh, I was so excited. Now we're going to start to create. I can settle down. And this little gate has to go on there. I use the hot glue. You can put a little piece of paper on the bottom and then, you know, glue gun the paper and then the larger piece to the truck. However it works. I'm kind of giving you a little bit of a close-up there. We have to cover all of that double-sided tape, but we have to get our little apples on our little cart, you know, on the gate. I'll call it a gate. So I put some red and some green apples looking like they were coming out, you know, because as that, oh, I wanted to show you something. I had all these marks on there, and When I do my white walls on my Harley, I use toothpaste. And I thought of it when I was doing this. If you want to get stains up off of your mat, toothpaste. It's fantastic. Whatever kind you have, the gel or the cream, look how it takes everything off with a baby wipe. And this is how, everybody can't believe how white my Harley white walls are on my tires. Toothpaste. Oh yes, you can tell I worked in dentistry before I retired, can't you? Orthodontics too. But toothpaste will clean anything. So see how it sits up? I just wanted to show you that. It's not flat down on the paper. It's forward. Whew, that's exciting. Now it's time to do the decorating, which is absolutely a wonderful time in the creative stage, isn't it? And I went into an LDRS creative set that had this beautiful tree and the dog. This is so much fun because not only do you get to create the front of this card, and I'll leave the measurements for you, but I need to cover up those spaces, right, that has the double-sided tape on it. So I thought, okay, I get to use my little mini LDRS Creative inks. You cannot beat LDRS Creative inks because they're hybrid inks. They give you all kinds of time to add your embossing powder and heat set, which is wonderful. You know I brag on that all the time. And hybrid inks are vibrant with pigment. So you get the best of each side of the ink, you know. So here we go. I want to have a gate. And I want to use light colors to begin with. And this is so funny. If you have been watching my channel for any length of time, you know there's mistakes all the time. I just tend to forget this or that or whatever. But this was a huge one because I went to grab a pen, you know, like a blender pen. And instead of grabbing my blender pen, guess what I grabbed? Oh yes, I could probably get it right here. It is my one and only Versamarker. A nice new Versamarker. I hope I kept it in there because here I'm just kind of doing the light colors. And when you're working with vellum, let me just say this, there are lots of little techniques you can use on vellum. I'm going to show you just a few of them that I really love on a good 40-pound vellum paper. It works better if the vellum is nice and thick. So I'm stamping them out, I'm heat setting them, and then I'm going to color on the opposite side of the vellum. Now, it doesn't matter really here because I am going to use each side, and we'll just move along and I'll show you what I mean by that. You can get a vibrancy by heat setting it with when you're coloring it. And I don't know, see, this is my Versamark. I can't believe I did it. Look at my nice new Versamark pen. Oh well, yes. I'm going to have to use this now for you doing this technique. For instead of a blender pen, now I'm using my Versamarker blender pen. So I just want to jump in again. Look at the juiciness of LDRS Creative Hybridics on that glass slice 6x6. What are we going to call it? Just a glass plate, I guess. That's what it is, a glass plate. Look how much ink you get with just a few taps on there. I haven't taken the plastic off it too, by the way. I thought I'd just keep it on as long as I could. And now I am going through, and a dark and a light and a green and a yellow, I think is what I have on there to blend everything up. I quickly set it with the clear embossing powder. And this is just so much fun. It just glides over. But I did have to be careful because I am going to fussy cut, I think. I'm not sure on here. I fussy cut the dog. I fussy cut the trees. No, maybe I didn't fussy cut the gate. I don't think I did because I needed to have 6 or 8 of them as my journey went along here. So now this puppy set, if you are a little doggy, big doggy person, this set is fabulous. You have all the dogs, the food tin, the paw marks, the bone. Oh, you're going to love it. check it out. Prices are exceptional as well. So now the clear embossing powder, and I'm going to heat set that. And then we're going to use both sides. I'm going to show you how you can incorporate both sides. It's called, yeah, Puppy Love. Ooh, there goes my little puppy. You have all of the dies. You know I love my dies. And, oh yeah, there's a little bone on there. And the sayings are so crazy cute, but I already did have my saying down, which is Harley Rescue. Harley Rescue. That's what I'm doing. We used to have a bull mastiff named Harley. He lived to be about 14, I think. We love bull mastiffs. And then, you know, I just last summer lost our bull mastiff who lived, you know, Cinnamon was the best dog ever, but she ended up with cancer and we ended up having to put her down. So sad. So here we go. I'm just trying to show you how different. One side looks like glass. That's if you heat set the actual ink side that you just finished using your blender pen, or in my case, my Versamark pen. And I thought of doing this. I thought of having the white edge, but changed my mind. I mean, vellum is so nice to cut. Nice smooth cut on this. And yeah, I did, I think, 2 little puppies. I'm not sure, but I think I did. And I used, let's see, I ended up using the stylus and my pokey tool with bringing the white up in the vellum. You know how vellum has that white texture in between the coating of the vellum, that if you just use something sharp and go around that, you know, with an image, the sharpness of the pen. I'm getting all tongue-tied. What is it? Tongue-tied. I'm twisting up my tongue-tied. Yeah, I just got in the door. Oh my, this month was a month for doctor appointments and CAT scans and x-rays and so many things. And I'll keep you up to date when I get all of the results back. I have some of them, but yeah, I'll let you know when everything comes in. And that's why I haven't been present on YouTube, because of the seriousness of having to get all of these tests done. And, you know, with one test you get a result back, and then from that you have to do something else. And that's kind of what the last 6 weeks I've been, really my mind has not been focused as far as creating. I just want to get all of these tests behind me and find out, you know, what I have to deal with. So June the 10th, I have foot surgery. I know that's coming up, but I don't know if they're going to put that on hold. It depends on what readings my CAT scan gets back. So I'll keep you posted for sure. We're all a family, and I'll share that with you when I find out. So here we go. I'm using the Martha Stewart ball tool here as stylus, and when you press down on that, you bring up the white in the vellum. Isn't that so cute? And look at here. So on the back of this, like when you turn it around, you're getting that 3D. You're pushing it into the sponge. So you're getting this beautiful, you know, it's raising it up. And you know, I love doing this. I do it on a lot of cards with not only vellum, but paper to add that pop so it stands up. And look how sweet that is. And you can leave it on either side, my friends. You can leave it on the white side, you know, the dull side, or this shiny side. And you can see that I put little apples on there because I wasn't sure if I was going to use my apples to put over top of that and use it as a placement, or I was going to actually paint them in with my inks and my Versamarker. I did change up. You know, I have about 16 pens. And what do I grab? Oh, here I'm just, I just wanted to show you. I'm using that black, you know, I like to use this for the eyeballs. It's right behind me here, the enamel accents. And sometimes you have to be careful to make sure, you know, you poke that pin in so that one of them, and look at that, I made him to have a little Spanky, you know, Spanky and the gang eyes on this. And I wanted to make the eyeball stand out, but you can see one of them really got big, and I had to work with it, yes, I really did. But I got it down, really easy to take off vellum. But see what happens? You end up making that white mark on the vellum. But look, it go all around the eyeball and you have one dark eye and one light eye. I love that. I really do like little boo-boos. And I'm looking for my picky pokey uppy tool. And then I am using my beacon glue. You know, I love my beacon glue right there. Put it in there. And we're going to do our placement of the apples. And so crazy cute. And then you have the trunk standing up because you pushed, you know, with your stylus, you pushed it down into your mat. And yeah, you get the best of every world when you're experimenting with different things. And then I'll show you, I think I use, well, I'll wait and see before I say certain things. And there we go. I've already been out and about today, and Hunter's here. He had a dentist appointment. So I am watching him, and he's being very good with his coloring things, his alphabet books that I have him doing there. Now I'm going to put the beacon glue because the beacon glue is like glossy accents. Remember we went over that? Yet you get it for, you know, astronomical good price, and you get way more glue than in the bottle, in the beacon bottle, than you would get buying glossy accents. Now, glossy accents, don't get upset with me because I do love glossy accents as well. But you know, when I bought the beacon glue and I saw it was clear and it dried shiny, wow, what a bonus that was. So I'll show you a few ways to get your shine on when you're doing something like that, and the ability of making it stick as well. Now, once we get finished with our little trees with the beacon glue on the shiny side, we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you how. Doesn't that look nice with the vellum down in the behind the trees? You can't see all of that tape. And look how that this little mechanism makes that Harley stand out every time it goes up a hill. And when it's going up the hill, it will stand out. When it's coming down, it'll rest. Then when it's going up, it'll stand out again, all because of the paper going with the flow of the actual cut in the paper. And you'll notice that better as we go along, and I slow it down and you can see that. I love the chain. I love the concept. I'm sorry, all you Chevy truck drivers, or, you know, I can't say that we're pulling out my Ford truck, right? I have to say it's either a Chevy or a whatever. It's just a nice truck. A truck's a truck. But I am a Ford person. Now let's get back to the flag. I want the flag to look like it's caught in the wind. Excuse me. So I'm going to have to do the little folds to make it look nice. And I'm going to make a flagpole, of course, a silver flagpole. And it's going to rest on the, right beside some of those houses on the right. And we are going to fix up that little mess there on the white cardstock with my tree, right? So here we go, and you want to make sure that this flow, when you're pulling it, oh yes, I'm in love with this concept. I'm so glad I thought of it. And yeah, giving myself a pat on the back, right? And yeah, today I woke up with this terrible throat thing. So you can see I added paper on the back, some black, so it wouldn't really stand out. And then I'm going to hot glue it so that it stays on my truck. Put some slices in the actual wood there so that I could put some trees inside and outside of the base. Now I'm going to get some glue dots and we're going to raise the tree up. And then I'm going to cover it with apples. See, that's how I do it with the beacon glue. I'm just going to cover it with apples going in every direction, some green and some red falling off the tree. And probably because our little truck maybe hit, I don't think it hit the tree, but they're coming down. And I love designing, don't you, when you make cards? Something about designing it and designing it on the go. It's really sweet. And I love the way that on this Americana stamp set, you can make your bike look any way you want. And I put some flames in there on the gas tank. I don't have flames on mine, I already told you that, but it looks cute, you know. It looks rugged, and I made sure I had a lot of chrome on there. So here we go. Now, I thought of the beacon glue to make these apples shiny. I wanted to have them shiny, but I'm going to show you on the other tree something else you can do. And not only that, because the apples are on vellum, you're going to want it kind of to seep over just to keep the connection onto the tree. But I got out my Mod Podge, and I'm going to work with that as well. You can see how just that pow of that beacon glue on the apples just really makes you want to take a nice big bite out of the apples, doesn't it? Green or red. So here I'm situating the apples that they look like they're falling out of the truck, right? And because I got to push that out of the gravel, got to get that truck out of the gravel. And I put some of the apples didn't have the core in that, but I just drew it in later. And there's the flag. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, just makes me want to sing, you know, the Star Spangled Banner. And I'm Canadian. Yes, I have a Canadian flag and an American flag going up in our yard. We're going to put our American flag up July. And yeah, so here we go. Isn't this sweet when you pull it out? The truck comes forward and the motorcycle comes forward. It doesn't lie flat. I love that. Only when it's in a certain position it does. So I'm kind of playing with it, and then I'm thinking, okay, that dog is not going to go there. I'm not going to put that there. I'm not sure what I covered it up, the line there, but I can't remember. You know, between having such a busy 6 weeks of appointments, I was coming home and then playing a little bit in the craft room, and you know how it goes like that. You have some weeks that are crazy like that. And then I added some black houses over top of the white and purple background. Yeah. So here we go. I'm adding some of the powder so I can put my Versamark, because I have to make the pole, and the pole is silver, right? At least mine is outside. It's a metal pole that hangs our flag up. So I just put Versamark strictly right onto the paper from the pad. Then I'm going to add some silver embossing powder, and we're going to emboss that. And then I keep it. You know, you never know when you're going to do another project like that, so don't get rid of this little bit of paper. I'm sure we'll find something to do later on in a project, right? And I'm going to heat set that, and I tell you what, I loved the finish flag and the flagpole. I went and looked out at ours, and it has, you know, it has the rope that you pull down the flag and you lift up the flag, and it has a knot at the top and bottom, and then it has a silver ball at the top. So I went to my pins and my needles, and I had this little needle, I guess, or a pin. It's a pin and has a ball head, and it was chrome. Oh, you couldn't ask for anything better. There you go. I have your flag, your American flag from the Americana set. I have the flagpole. I have to decide where it's going to go, and of course it's going to go right there by the houses. I think I put it right over top, and we're going to have some grass and a whole lot of little elements. So I thought of there, and then I thought, no, too much going on to the left side with the truck. I'm trying to, you know, get a good weight on here. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing there. I'm probably talking to one of my friends there on my desktop computer, and I'm showing her. There's the fence. Oh yes, I have the vellum fence, and I heat set it in clear embossing powder. So doesn't that just do something with the red apples and the houses and the vintage truck and the Harley? You have to have your flag. It's wonderful. And then I put the double-sided tape on here, the thin tape, so that I could raise it up. And then I'll decide where that's going. I know where it's going. I'm looking at the card right here. It just, oh, yeah, so much fun. Creating for me is such a time set, just a relaxing time to put all things aside and just concentrate on making a card. And now, oh yes, you want to color the back because it's waving and you're probably going to see it from the side of your card. So I just took a Copic marker and added some red to the back of that. And I'm making sure that it's like, woo, it has the waves in it. And I ended up just, you know what? I ended up taking this off. I remember that because see how you can see the switch up, right? You can see the switch up of the flag because I didn't anticipate the ink on the back coming through. So yeah, I switched it out because I made 5 or 6 flags, so it was okay. And I took it out of the edit. Now I'm pushing that pin, that ball pin. I had some of this wonderful cotton twine that I made a knot in the top. I'm pulling that down into the double-sided thin tape, that tape I used to raise it up. And yeah, it's just fabulous. It just really, I was so excited when I thought up this. I'm taking my cutter and just cutting off the end of the pin so I don't have so far to go down into the double-sided tape. There you go. Painless, isn't it? And then I just tied a, what do they call it, like a sailor knot. And then I make it go down, and then you have to do another one on the bottom so that it looks like you can, just grab hold of it and take your flag up and take your flag down. Yeah, I got my good scissors. Oh yeah, these are my good babies, my Ginger scissors. I keep them for just special things. And my tiny little stork ones as well. They only come out when, oh, there's the big ones. I can't wait to use those. I want to do a few pillows actually. So I want to get cutting with my new, well, they're not new. I think I got them a year or two ago. And here we go. I am just, making sure I put a little glue dot behind there so it didn't move when the person that gets this card, opens it up, because I am going to put vellum, an opening, so that you can open up and then view this wonderful inside creation. So I'm putting some glue dots, and they're the mini glue dots, by the way. So I'm putting those on there, and I think I just cut with scissors and thinned out the pole. I'm not too sure, but yeah, look at that. And then having those pins with that metal ball on the end of them. Oh yeah, I was in love with this. I thought I was really excited to have just the Harley pulling out the vintage truck. But when that flag went down, woohoo, I was excited. And now do that close up. It's just so, yeah, there it is. And then we're going to get out our flocking. Can you believe I'm going to go and use, I told you I want to use all my stash. I want to get into my stash, so out came the flocking powder, and we're going to do grass with that. Even though you have the road and the gravel there for the truck to get stuck in, I thought it'd be nice to have some grass, kind of pull the bottom of the, have the apples not floating in the air and your tree not floating out there. You're going to need something. I was thinking of using my air compressor, my Copic compressor, but I thought that was just too flat. There's just so much depth going on with this card. There you go. Oh yeah, I'm going, yes, let's move forward. Look at it, come forward. Oh yeah, number 1. It's just so sweet. And then I went over the outside of the flag with the red because I didn't want to see white. See, I'm just quickly going over that. Actually, I wasn't going quickly. I was going quite slow because I didn't want it to slip up and end up on the houses. So here we go. I have that pull tab mechanism on there. I had to do that twice. Fancy that, right? Yeah, I ended up doing 2 different things, but I kept in to show you the first one. And here on the vellum, with 40-pound vellum, as well as I do, it's cracks, right? You keep opening it and closing it, opening it and closing it, you're going to end up tearing it, probably right in half. So I had to come up with a plan. Now, because my pull tab is out to the side, I couldn't hide it. You know, I had to keep it to the side when I made the actual lid, you know, the closure of the card. And I wanted you to see that sweet background inside the vellum. So I got out my sticker thickers and I found these ones that look like little bullet holes in the letters. It was so sweet. I got out a bunch of the ones at the side because I want to put Harley Rescue on there. So here we go. I'm going to, trying to think of why I needed that, but I'll move right along. I ended up having to make, I think, 6 or 8 of those gates in the vellum. So I did do that, and as we're watching it together, I'll kind of figure out why I'm cutting this. Can anybody guess why I'm cutting this? Let's see. I know it's shorter at the bottom than it is at the top, but I'm covering, yes. I want to cover all of the sides, you know, the bottom and the 2 sides. The inside where the houses are, I covered with vellum, but I don't want, it just looked unkept. It just didn't look right. So what I did here is just straighten it up. Sorry about that. I must be getting an email. And then I'm going to put this strip on there with the hot glue, and it just made it look complete for me. I don't like anything undone, like, you know, to look like it's not clean, so to speak. So this is what I did here. I just went along there and then cut it off. Then I went down the sides, and now you don't see, I think it's raised up 3 times if I'm right. I'll have to look at it here. And yeah, it just made such a difference to have that bottom, doesn't it? I don't know, just completes the card for me. And then I'm trying to think, okay, I have to put Harley Rescue on the pull tab and figure out what's going on. Oh, one of my apples fell off. But I'm going to show you the remedy to that later on, because I think one came off the top of the red tree and one came off the bottom of the blue, and that's because you're working with vellum, you know. And but I'm going to show you how I made that stick, and of course it's with the Mod Podge. So here I saved you all of the torture of watching me do the flocking. All this is powder that you put on top of glue. I put my beacon glue. Then I used 3 different colors and made it look like grass. And there it is. There's sparkly flocking and there's the plain dull flocking. And I do like to use it because if you're doing little bunnies and you want to do the tail fluffy, you use flocking. It's beautiful stuff. I've had that since I, you know, first started creating. It's just so sweet. So here we go, flocking underneath the gravel, and I'm going to put it under the tree and also around the flag, you know. Yeah, it can't be, you have to ground everything, so to speak. And then the puppy went here to cover the double-sided tape that you can see there in the road, because it had to be raised up on the sides. And it's just coming together. Is he not the cutest thing? And I know his head is bigger than my bike. Yes, but that's the fun of cards. This isn't realism. This is cartoon. And he is so sweet, it didn't even bother me. Didn't even bother me. So, well, it must have a little bit because I brought it to your attention. But here we go. Here's the flocking. And it didn't bother me. Look at, he's so cute. I mean, how can you not love him there, even if his head is bigger than my Harley? So here we go. My Bull Mastiff had quite a big head. All of ours did. They were really big dogs. And yeah, so I'm sticking up for him here. So you have the apples, you have the truck. I'm just tapping it to get off some of the flocking. And I put it underneath the dog. Look at that. I'm putting a black layer on the back. I'm putting another layer of black, so that's why I didn't mind setting it down in the rather damp area there. Now some flocking around the flag, and that's just going to complete that and ground that. And then we're going to put our apples back on and get out my Mod Podge. Yes. And I think I used the shiny Mod Podge because I didn't want to use the flat, because why have all those apples shining with the beacon glue if I go and put Mod Podge on over top and flatten it out, right? Look at that. I just moved my bike, putting some underneath the tree, and it was just a nice card for my LDRS Creative Design Team project this last month. Yes, I know I'm a little late. This is for April, but check out the shop, because for having a wonderful Americana set for your July 4th weekend is coming up, and this would be awesome. So here's my pull tab. I'm going to make obviously some road marks, you know, put these little marks in. It looks like the road and gives it that kind of feel with my Signo pen. I had to pick up 2 of them the other day. I think it was Tuesday. I was by a Michael's and I picked up a couple of the gel pens because I only had this one left. And I don't like to be left with just one thing, you know, especially, your Signo broad tip pen. It's so nice and white, and you use it for so many things, especially shading and things like that, you know. So here we go. Yes. Adding the lines there, and here's where I put those letters. And it's so funny that I got it all situated, but what happened is when I used the stickers in this case, they would catch on the way in. So every time I pulled it in, it would catch on the paper, you know, going through, and I would lose the letters, and I was panicking that I would lose the letter on the inside, you know, where I couldn't get at it. And I'll tell you what happened. That did happen. I had to take, I'm just going to share it with you because I had to do it. I had to take all of this apart to get in on the inside, because, not because of the letters getting stuck in there. I could have grabbed those with tweezers, but what happened is I pulled on it I used too much muscle and pulled on it, and it ripped off of the inside baggie. It just tore right off. I ended up having it in my hand. So I couldn't fix it without taking the entire card apart. So I had to take the top portion off and the bottom portion off, and I did it with my cutting knife. I just did it slowly, and you can see how I had to make a slit in here for the mechanism to come out of. So I took care of that, and then we'll move on, because you'll see I changed up those letters. I changed it completely. I just kind of got panicky that it would stick and I'd end up with another problem. So I just took care of the problem, took the Harley Rescue, those letters completely off, and switched to something flat, you know, that wouldn't catch going in and out. And those are the things you learn in time, right? So I scored this to the depth of the card, because this is my closure. And then I added on this one, I put more vellum. I put another piece of vellum stripped right down the center of there. And then I switched over and realized on the other one, I'm just going to add to that my, what do you call that stuff in the mail there? It'll come to me in a second. I added that down there for stability, because the vellum on vellum is not going to work. You're still going to get that slit in there. So I had to make a decision, and I ended up using the Tyvek. Yes, I have tons of Tyvek. And there I have my little my little acrylic plate, and you get to press it down and clip it off at the end, nice and clean. Look at that. I love that thing. Oh, saves me so much time. So I did this, and I had to cut some of it off because it was too long, of course. You can see that. So I cut that off, and I'm getting all ready to make my closure on top. You know, my opening, and it's going to have magnets. I'm going to have the magnets so that the gate magnetizes together. So sweet. I love this project. I really did. Love the Americana set. Our Victoria Day was Monday. So, yeah, our Queen Victoria Days, I suppose, is the same like your 4th of July as far as holiday is concerned. and the long weekend thing is concerned. So here I'm taking my knife and I need to cut the opening so that my mechanism that goes in and out will not catch on this. So I did that. And then I ended up taking, I bought a box of 100 of the Tyvek envelopes, 8.5 by 11, I think, for the mail, because I was making albums at one time, quite a few, and Tyvek is perfect for the opening, closing of your albums. Yes. So here we go. I haven't taken the glue off that yet. I just wanted to make sure the depth was fine on there. And I added the vellum, but that wasn't, I needed to go back and put the Tyvek on. Tyvek was a good idea. Then I'm taking my little stork scissors because I have to do some detail cutting here. You want to make sure that your opening is not going to grab the letters. You're going to have some room on this, and that's what I'm doing here, because I didn't think right yet about the Tyvek till after. I kept opening and closing and thinking it doesn't matter if I have the vellum on top of the paper, it still has the crease that I have to deal with. So I'm measuring it out for the other side and cutting that off. Then I looked over and lo and behold, my envelopes were sitting there of Tyvek. And Tyvek, as you know, you can't rip it. I mean, it's unrippable. It's perfect for the sides of albums, you know, for putting on the spine and having it, yeah, see there? And you know what I did that butterfly? I used to send quite a bit of cards and random act of kindness things in these Tyvek envelopes. And what I did there was I put on that butterfly, that is just Versamark, and put the butterfly stamp down and then put that powder, I can't think of what the name of that powder is, over top. And it doesn't even, and then you just spray it with a little bit of water and it keeps it on there. The mist holds that powdered stuff. I'll get the name of it. And it holds it there. So that's what I did before I put addresses on them. Now I am going to put my Tyvek through my sticker maker, my Xyron little 1-inch sticker maker, and this is what is going to go on the vellum. So you can just open it and close it, and the vellum is not going anywhere. It's not going to cut, and it's not going to separate. So I ran it through the Xyron, and now I am putting it on here. Be very careful, because the thing you want to get is each side, you know, it's measured properly. That's all I'm trying to say here. But I did have to take it down just a little bit, because there was a little black dot in there and it was driving me crazy, that little black dot. Then I thought, okay, I have an extra flag. I'm going to put the flag on the top there just for a little accent. I think it looks so cute. So I ran it through the Xyron. I was at Michael's. I had a specialist appointment on, what day are we on? I guess it was yesterday. Good night. Yeah, it was yesterday. And I stopped in at Michael's and I picked up some Xyron runner for my little one, because I knew it was going to run out, and oh, you know, perish the thought that I go to use it and I don't have anything there. So you can see the nice straight line that it leaves, and you can see my Harley rescue with the letters. And so funny that the letters, it didn't have an L or something else. I had to go to a shiny chromy letter, but I didn't mind that. I just felt sad that I had to take it off because it kept sticking, you know, the tape. And I could have put the Mod Podge over it. I didn't think of it until I took all of the letters off and added new flat letters that I liked more because it was white, you know, and it stood out. And here I'm going to my little stickers that I really love. I love these Starfoam, I think it's called, stickers. And I have to put some tape. So I got out my great big roll of it, you know, the Suquang tape, because it's super sticky. Oh yeah, get it off or you'll be having a heart attack there. Cut it down. Yeah, once these goes on, once it goes on, it's on. Yeah, you kind of hold your breath when you're doing it. So, and I put a little piece on the bottom, of course, just to measure it all up. Now I'm putting black on there and taking that off. Yeah, you don't want to stick your hand down either. Now I'm going to put this, I'm going to put this on each side of the opening because I have that black sheet right there that we're going to put on the back. And let me tell you this is one heavy card. Oh yeah, you know I love my cards heavy. Well, yes, this was a heavy card. Adding some more of my mini glue dots under there before I realized I could get my Mod Podge out. Put a little one behind the house of the vellum. Love the clouds off in the distance behind the vellum like that. Not so bright, you know. It kind of shows up the Harley and the vintage truck nicely. So let's put some tape on the other side. There we go. I'm just cutting it down. And that roll has lasted me, I can't even tell you how long. It is a large, large roll, but worth every penny of it. So here we go. Let's put that down over top of the Tyvek and cut it off. And then we're going to put it behind the card, like the actual card there, because this is now my opening, right? And don't forget to slide your slider in between there, or else it's, you know, it's going to be hard to get it through that hole once, well, it happened, so I'll just say no more. You know it happened, that when I switched up the letters, oh, it seemed like one thing after another, but I remedied it, so it was okay. It just took a little bit of time. So here you go. I wanted the top to fold over. I didn't want it to meet even. Love the look of the vellum. And then on the back, we're going to cover it with another sheet of the black cardstock. There we go. I'm making sure how far do I want that to come out. And love vellum because you can see everything. And then I have to put more vellum, right? Because I'm putting that black piece of paper right there that I measured off. And then I thought, let's just do something different with the back of this black cardstock. So I got out my scoring tool and I'm going to make score marks, you know, like 3 or 4 on each side and some going vertical, some horizontal. You'll see what I do. It just adds that something something to this card to put it on your scoreboard and make score marks so that, and make sure that the score mark when you put it down is sticking up, you know. You don't want it inverted. You want it to be it's not, you want it to be bumped out. How's that? So here we go. I'm just making some score marks with my little Martha Stewart scoreboard. And it's kind of like, you don't have to get crazy and measure all of it out. I just wanted to have, I think it was 4 or 5 on each side, kind of the same, you know. And I was just looking at an email there, I think. And then I did the same on the other side, and then I reversed it. You know, I didn't measure that off, but it looks so sweet to have those score marks in the back. It adds a little bit of design to it. And there we go. And then do the same on the other side. And then we're going to add a few going across vertically. And isn't that funny? I thought back, I used to get that mixed up too. Vertically, horizontally, vertical, yeah, horizontal. Yeah, I probably just made a mistake and said either or because I used to struggle with that all the time. I can remember that. And here we go. Let's get it on. Make sure that your, you know, the bumpy marks are on the upside. And isn't that sweet? And then you can just cut it off with your scissors. You can't put that through your cutting board, mat, or your cutting board, right? All these names you have to remember. Your cutting board, your scoreboard, your, oh, yeah, a lot to remember. So here we go. It's looking pretty nice. I'm really happy. The score marks were nice that I made as far as the closure. And you can tell that's hitting there. It was driving me crazy. So I thought, now what am I going to close it with? But first I wanted to add something to the actual Tyvek on the inside. So you know these star star form. Spit it out, Carol. Star form stickers are wonderful. And then to make sure that they don't release themselves, you know, come apart, work their way up, you add your Mod Podge. It's the perfect glue, and with a foam applicator. Let me stress using a foam applicator. So here we go. I ran this through my little Xyron, and I put the two, you can see the little magnets there. These are wonderful. These are the only magnets I use. They're so crazy magnetized. And I put two of them on the back, and then I'm going to put two on top of the two that are on there so that for placement. Then I'll add the glue dot on top of it, and there you have it. Look at you just have the whole thing. Just close it. You have your glue dots on there. It will release itself, so you have perfect placements right there. I'm just going to put something down to hold it. Then you're going to add your other gate like this. Look at that. And then I made a couple of other gates to put behind it so you didn't see your magnets, right? And there you have it. Isn't that super duper? It's closing with the gates. Oh, I just love this project. And then stars. It had little stars in there. So of course I put them up there behind the houses in the sky. Yeah, those star foam stickers, star form, I think it is, stickers. You can get them with just about anything. Yeah, I just thought 3 would be enough. Now you have the opening, but that looked lonely. Doesn't that look lonely? I couldn't leave just a gate. That's silly. So I'm going to do corners. So I added some star form stickers on the corners. And you know what's nice about this? The old Mod Podge, you just put that down over top and it's sticking for good, and it dries, you know, pretty good. I used the shiny one on there. I didn't use the flat. So you could see a little bit of that, but that's okay. The stickers shine to the gold. Now doesn't that add just something there? Then I grabbed some silver and I put it on the inside, a little bit of silver because of the chrome. I was thinking chrome, you know, and I put that there. And then I thought, oh, I'll add a bike, you know, just plain. I didn't make it a Harley. I just cut it out just the way the stamp was, just in black and white there. Put some beacon glue, put it down on top of the acetate. Then I put a little road on the bottom with some of the star form sticker, and like a little road, you know. And then a butterfly sitting on top of the gate, of course. And then a little flower down by the flag on the inside. You'll see it all at the end when I put the pictures up. All the little somethings that you put on your card that just makes it extra special. There we go. And I had the other flag I decided to put right there in the corner, right like that. Because if you made them, you might as well use them, right? It doesn't take it away when you open it up because your other flag has the flagpole. So it's just, you know, a bit of Americana all over your card. So there you go, and I hope it made you smile so far. It puts smiles on my face when I create. So let's move along. I had to clean up. That's why the smiles are there. Toothpaste, my friends, toothpaste. If you want to clean up your mats, grab your toothpaste. The reason why I know it cleans so well is because I do my white walls on my tires of my Harley. People, they always ask me, how do you get your white walls so white on your Harley tires? Toothpaste. Yeah, I worked in orthodontics and dentistry most of my life, and toothpaste is the miracle cleaner, you know. And so is the other cleaner I always show you there. I'll put the name up when I make a list, but toothpaste will clean all of the stains off of your mat. So there you go. Just thought I'd add that. Look at that. Isn't that sweet? Just a little something to the back of your card to add that. And now I had to change that up. It just broke my heart. I thought, what am I going to do there? Yep. I need more gates. So off I went with my little cubes. That's why the LDRS Creative cubes are lovely, because they are juicy and they are hybrid I go crazy over hybrid. They give you enough time. Look how wet they are. I mean, I could have waited forever, especially on vellum, to heat set it because they're just so juicy and vibrant. So I made 5 more gates, and then I ran them through. I'm adding, of course, I have to add some colors, the same ones as I did before. I think it was kind of like the marigold yellow and the dark brown, and then the coffee bean and another brown, actually. I think it was the same as the top one. What am I using here? Am I using my crazy Versamark pen? I don't think so. I think I switched up to a blender pen. Yes, I found my blender pen. Whew, and this takes seconds. I'm telling you. On vellum, look at that. Just add your colors, put clear embossing powder over top, run them through. You've got the die with this set. Just quickly run it through and you have yourself some gates. Beautiful wooden gates. They're gorgeous. Add some embossing powder to them and we're on our way to finish the creation because I am making a box to put it in, right? So that's why the tutorial is a bit lengthy, because I did do all of the sides of this card and I added a box to put it in for you. Now we'll get them all heat set. We'll die cut them all, take off this. Oh, I hate taking off the hybridings. And yeah, but we're going to have to set those gates down. Isn't that dog so cute? I love a vellum closing too to your card, especially if you have a scene behind it. I don't like covering it up. I just love to have that extra effect of seeing what you created on the inside. So here, all of this comes off. And it's okay. I got out my stickers and I found some bright white letters that I put on there. And all it needs to say is, oh yeah, I went over my little lines, of course. And see that sticky part underneath the stork scissors? That's okay because I do cover that with a letter. So I had this great big set of white letters that I've had forever. So I spelled out Harley, rescue. And I do move them around, yes, because I can see that that is not straight. But I knew right then I was going to cover it with the Mod Podge. And I used the shiny one instead of the flat Mod Podge. And it works wonderfully. But wait until you see what I did. Oh, I tell you what, talk about a heart sink. I just thought, after all this work, Carol, how can you forget to slide that thingy through the cover? You know, it was crazy. So here comes, and the key to this, I think, is the sponge. The sponge just gives you straight lines, it dries nicely, and you can add a few coats. The letters aren't coming up. And then I did the same thing. I covered, once everything was dry, see how quickly it dries there? I did the trees with the Mod Podge too. So that, yeah. I didn't care about seeing that on the other side, really. I had to cover the magnets, but I didn't mind the gates not having a cover. I'm going to give it an extra little bit of heat there so I know that it is set. And then we will see what happened. How did I rescue my Harley rescue pull tab out of there? I have to see how I did that. Oh, I added another coat on here because it dried so nicely. Don't go out of the lines because it is the shiny, you know, the glossy. Yeah, I love Mod Podge. We sometimes forget about it, eh? You know, with the glue, that it's an actual glue. We think of it more when you're doing a canvas, but it works really well on small jobs on a card. Now, I'm just cleaning up around the pull tab here, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, something doesn't look right here, okay? So what I did, I'm just adding a little bit of the Mod Podge with one of my dental picks. Then I thought, oh, Carol, you're going to have to get serious. I'm pretty sure I took out another sponge. Oh, yeah, there it is. and I'm just slapping it on there. Tap, 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 tap. Oh yes, it dries nice and shiny, so it dried exactly like it looked in real life. It just stuck everything on there. So that was nice. And yeah, isn't that pretty? Make sure you add that other apple, Carol. I can see it from here that it's not on there. But I still haven't realized that. Well, I'm going to share it with you in just a minute. I'm just picking some of it off. I'm trying to slide it with my dental pick there underneath the apple. But now I'm on the lookout. Hey, where's my other apple? They're so tiny. I did go back, and I did use glue dots, the great big ones. Oh, I'm showing you how it looks here. Isn't that pretty? And it opens up like that. It's such a pretty scene. And then to pull that truck out of the gravel with your Harley, and then the Harley stand up like that. Look at that. The truck flattens out, stands up, flattens out. Oh, just loved it. Okay, the box. The box I need, the card is 11 by 6 by 1 inch. I want 1 inch depth. So when you make a box, you say times 2, which is 2. You always double the number of the depth of you want the box for your card to go in. Then you add 2 to the 6 and 2 to the 11. So that is 13 by 8 by 2. That's the size of the box that I need. Very easy. Just double the depth and add that number to both numbers of, the length and the width of your card. I'm just showing you here. And you will have a perfect box. And it'll have 1 inches all the way around. So, as you guessed, the cardstock that I have for my boxes is 12 inches, 12 by 12. So I had to cut 2 pieces of 1 inch to add to each side to make it 13 inches, okay? So I took double-sided tape, just the 1/4 inch. I went on the front of it, I went on the back of it. And this will hold for your box, okay? So you want to do that and then cut out the, I'm sorry it's going so fast here. I didn't think you needed to see adding 1 inch to each side of your 12-inch box. Now you're going to score it all the way around 1 inch. So once you cut it out to, you've got the 13, I think it was by 9. I'd have to go back and check that. But I just double check by putting the card in the center there to make sure I have enough room for my pull tab. And it was just perfect. Go right alongside, right in the center of your 1/4 inch double-sided tape when you score, and the box will turn out lovely. And guess what I put on the edges on the inside? Yes, you guessed it, Tyvek. On the inside, so that that fold would not come apart. So you just take off the double-sided tape and add Tyvek, and you're all set. Tyvek to the rescue. So here we go. We're almost finished. Can you believe it? And I had so much fun making it for you. Now on the I'm just putting it back on there for a second. On the squares of the not the long length, but the short length. Oh yes, it's snack time. Take a break, have a sardine. Yes. But let's get back to this wonderful box. You just cut in, you're going to miter just on the side. So cut the one side on the short, on the vertical side, on the short length. Cut it on the fold and then cut into it. So just miter it just a little bit, and that'll just nicely fold on the inside and glue it down with liquid glue. On the top portion of the box, I end up putting double-sided tape and glue just to be sure, because you're going to be lifting it off and on. Now you're going to take that off, and I did add a little square of Tyvek. You'll see me doing that. You're going to I put Nouveau glue on the inside portion. This is the bottom of the box. And to make it sturdy, I did add my thick 110-pound black cardstock. And it is thick. It's just like my 140-pound white. and I add it to the inside of the box and to the bottom of the box for stability, because I am mailing it, well, I am mailing it in a box. But there's my Tyvek. Ooh yeah, Tyvek to the rescue. If you don't want any edges, anything to rip, just go to your stationery store and grab a Tyvek envelope and it'll last you forever. Now I was going to use, you can see that I have it, I could have added it for stability on the sides, but I thought I didn't need it. Then I was going to put my acetate down, which I did. I have acetate, see-through acetate underneath the vellum, but I didn't like that look. I wanted to see the card because it already had vellum. So I said I'm not going to do that. So what I did is I ran the die on the box when it was flat. I ran the die across the top and then across the bottom. And then I added all the little houses with glue afterwards. Here you go. It's just gonna fold in. It wasn't dry, so I had to kind of wait it out here. I didn't want to put it on. And you have it, my friends. Look at all the little houses. You know I used this on an ice cream card before, but I just loved it. Now I'm going to show you in normal time that I did the box. It's not quite dry, so I'm not gonna pull it over the edges. I didn't use the vellum underneath the die cut across the box. I decided to keep it with the acetate. Then I cut a piece going across with black cardstock so I could cut all the houses off the top of the die and securely slide them into the proper die cuts. So I have black and white to match. You can see the little Harley wheel to the left sticking out there. I thank you so much to Angie for being able to have the opportunity to design for LDRS Creative. Thank you, my friends, for joining me on this tutorial and for subscribing and putting your thumbs up. I sure appreciate that. There's a quick view, a nice clean out back. You know, the black looks nice and clean. The black inside is nice. You open it up. There's the scene, and this Harley comes forward so it looks like it's driving on, look at that, on two wheels. That kept sliding in my way. I'm sorry about that. But you get the drift on how that worked, how the nice mechanism pulled it forward. So have a blessed week, everybody. Thank you very much for your support and encouragement and your comments. They mean a lot to me. So I will see you on the next project. Enjoy the pictures, everybody. Yes. See you later. Take care.